Everybody, I decided to make this video to answer once and for all, is Aatrox ever going to get his revive back? It's a question I'm asked all the time. Is Aatrox going to get his revive back? Should he get his revive back? Do you miss his revive? Do you believe that he should get his revive back? I get asked this like on the daily. So I figured, why not make a video with my argument? I'm going to put forward my entire argument on what I believe in this. I'm not going to tell you right now and spoil it, but I think I'm going to make a very compelling argument throughout this video that what I think is 100% irrefutably true, and if you don't agree with me, you're dumb. At the very least, that's what I think I'm going to get out of it. You might disagree, and that's fine. Before we begin, ever make sure to like, ever make sure to subscribe, ever make sure to leave a comment down below. If you agree, if you disagree, if you think I'm dumb, if you think I'm the smartest man in the universe, which is true, then you can go ahead and leave a comment there. We're going to do a history lesson on Aatrox, and I promise you this history lesson is very important, so pay attention. I'm gonna make it as exciting as possible. But when Aatrox is reworked, so current version of Aatrox, not pre-rework Aatrox, he had a revive on his ultimate. If he popped his ultimate, he would then revive the first time he died, but he would lose the effects of his ultimate. It was then changed to, if he got a kill during his ultimate, he would revive, but then also lose the effects of his ultimate. Those were both eventually removed, citing competitive play. And they basically said, he's too overpowered with this revive ultimate, we're going to balance him without it. So a lot of people got to complaining and saying, well, the revive is a core part of his identity. It's a core part of his identity. How could you remove it? It's Aatrox. Aatrox is the revive. But I actually don't agree with that one. I don't agree at all that Aatrox was the revive, that it was the most important part of this champion. And I'm going to use a history lesson in Aatrox to prove that. Now, I've been playing this game since the beginning, and I played a shitload of Aatrox. I played a lot of Aatrox, and when he was added in patch 3.8, the cooldown in his revive was 225 seconds. That is longer than I think any other ultimate ability in the game. Now, it was on his passive, which you're thinking, oh, it was only his passive, but here's the thing, because it was on his passive, it wasn't affected by cooldown reduction or ability haste. It was only 2 years that the cooldown was reduced from 225 at all levels to 225 to 150 based on your level. So for 2 years, the cooldown in his revive was way too long. It procced maybe once every second or third fight. You would maybe get it 3 to 5 times per game. It really wasn't that big of a deal. It really wasn't something to balance him around. It was a nice help for him, but it was certainly not a mainstay. It was certainly not the most important part of his kit. In patch 7.5, so now we're 4 years after he's added to the game, the cooldown is finally reduced to 180 to 120. Finally, the cooldown is low enough that you can get it maybe once every fight. I know what you're all thinking right now. You're all thinking, Hashinshin, obviously, now it is more a mainstay part of his kit. In patch 7.5, this is proven. Before his major rework, the revive was a big part of his kit. It was a big part of what made Aatrox Aatrox. Well, let's remember, it was only 1 year until they did the major rework, the full relaunch. So 4 out of those 5 years, the revive was not a major part of his kit. It was only 1 out of those 5 it was a major part of his kit. But let's look into his ultimate. Now, for those of you guys who know Aatrox's ultimate now, it gives you a crap load of bonus movement speed for a decent chunk of duration. It gives you 20 to 40% AD. It gives you hella Omnivamp. It increases all the healing you receive. What did it do after the rework? It gave you 20% damage, some movement speed for 1 second, and it healed you if you died. That was it. That was literally all it did. Do you start to see my point here? This is practically a different ultimate. Other than giving damage and giving some movement speed, Aatrox's current ultimate does way different things. So let's look into when they did the mini rework of this rework. They finally reworked it. This is the mini rework on the current version of Aatrox. They reworked it. He now gets 20 to 30% damage. He gets more increased healing. So the healing during his ultimate is increased. Instead of only gaining some movement speed for 1 second, he now gains 60 to 100% bonus movement speed, decaying over the entire duration. Although it does decay rapidly, you do get way more movement out of it now, and it extends the duration when you get a kill. Do you see how this is massively more powerful? But to compensate for it, the revive has been reduced from 15 to 50% HP, 15 to 50% HP to 30%, and only if you get a kill. So this has been massively nerfed, but we can see up here, the revive eventually got removed. But this is important. When the revive got removed, the cooldown was reduced from a massive 140 to 100 to 120 to 80. If you ever play Aatrox now, you'll note his ultimate is on not that long of a cooldown. The revive comes off and the cooldown goes down. So with ability haste, with these effects, you never really, it's very rare for me to be lacking Aatrox's ultimate for a fight. That's really important. The healing app starts to identify him more as a healing based champion, and it starts to unidentify him as that guy who revives. In addition, when the damage, let me see if I can find that up here, when the damage went from 20 to 30 to 20 to 40%, it used to just be 20% flat. Now it's 20 to 40%. So Aatrox's core identity has been flipped here. Instead of being that guy who revives, which was more of an addition for a couple years from patch 7 to 10, that was more of his thing. From patch 3 to 6, his thing was more being the high damage healing champion. This pushes him more into being what he was really in the past, and it removes his revive. I think that's a good thing. I actually do think this is a good thing. I don't think the revive was ever this core identity of his kit. The damage on his ult went up. The healing on his ult went up. Let me keep track of this. Aatrox loses revive. Cooldown goes down. Damage goes up. Healing goes way up. And now that's something that I think is really important. It's not that the healing went up a little bit. He went from healing 30% of his damage at level 16 to 80%. That is more than double. That is almost triple the amount of healing. I can't really tell you guys how absolutely insane it is when you go from 30% of your damage is healing to 80% with more damage on top of that. Should Aatrox get his revive back? Let's say the argument right now. No, he should not. I'll go into this a little bit more because I don't think some of you will be convinced by me going over his patch history. Let's talk about power budget. Power budget is how strong you can make a champion before they're overpowered. How strong can you make a champion? Some of you guys are living in, I'm gonna call it a very weird world. Why is it a weird world? Because it's a world where we're trying to deny that Aatrox is a strong pick. His pick rate is the second highest. He does have a 50% win rate. That could go down to 49%. His win rate isn't out of line at all, but his pick rate is pretty damn good. His ban rate is low, so we're not seeing him as an issue. At Diamond, he's the highest pick. At D2 Plus, he's the highest pick. At Masters Plus, he's the second highest pick. He's just being picked a lot. He's being picked a lot because he's a decent first pick. Here's the thing. With the power budget, I said strong. How strong can you make a champion? With the power budget, we really can't add any more power to Aatrox without making him overpowered. If you want to add the revive back, you will have to remove something. That's just how a budget works. If you want to afford that revive, something on his kit will need to be removed. Now, let's talk about Aatrox's kit for a second here. Which part would you guys remove? Now, I'm not talking about which part would you guys don't you like. I'm talking about you have to remove something from this champion. You have to if you want the revive back, and it will need to be something substantial. Are you going to remove the bonus Omnivamp from his E during his ultimate? So from 20 to 30%, it goes to 26 to 50% during his ultimate. Then that gets magnified. You could remove this, I guess. You could bring him from 80% Omnivamp to a mere, let's say, hypothetically 48% Omnivamp during his ult. Remove nearly half his healing. Is that what you want removed? I mean, it would probably power budget enough for him to get his revive back, but now he heals significantly less. Ooh, I don't know if I want that. Do you want to remove his damage? Maybe go to a flat 20%? No, I don't want to lose that either because Aatrox is already at the low damage end. And that's exactly what I'm talking about. What would you give up? And it would have to be something substantial. What would you give up in this kit to get his revive back? Do you want to give up his slow on his W? Because remember, his Infernal's chains used to be 15 to 35%. So throughout the entire early game, it was a mere 15%. 90% of champions, in fact, more like 95% champions, I think practically every champion in the game could literally just walk out of it even if you hit a Q crit. You'd basically have to trick your enemies into it. Anyone like Jax or Relic could just straight walk out of it no matter what you did. Now it's 25%. Would you want to give that up? That might not even be enough. Riot specifically removed the revive on his ultimate to give him more power. Now, why was the ultimate so powerful when it had revive? Let me try to find here. It revives him over 3.25 seconds. What does that number mean to you? Not a lot, right? But when you combine those 3.25 seconds with the 4 seconds from Guardian Angel, 3.25 seconds revive plus 4 seconds revive is 7.25. This means throughout a team fight, if Aatrox has his revive and he has Guardian Angel, Aatrox can be straight up reviving for 7.25 seconds. That is a fucked up duration amount of time. That is way too long for a team to ever actually kill Aatrox. There's basically no world ever, and we saw this in competitive play all the time, there was no world where a team could kill Aatrox, make him revive, stand around, just like, then kill him again during the Guardian Angel, then stand around, then finally kill him a third time? No, No tank would tank longer than that. No champion in the game could tank longer than this. This meant that Aatrox is the best engaged champion in League of Legends. Not because he was tanky, not because he was clever or anything like that. He was the best engaged champion because he revived for so long, teams had to spend nearly 10 seconds just beating him down like a fucking whack-a-mole. To be as blunt as possible, is that really fun and interesting? Is that what you want to think of Aatrox? The champion who's really annoying because you have to keep knocking him down? Or do you want to think Aatrox is a champion who whacks people with his Q and heals to full with Gore Drinker and smashes teams with giant AoEs for big damage? Because that's what I like to think of Aatrox as. That's why I like playing Aatrox. What has Riot done? We can see all the way at the top, they buffed his Q damage on the sweet spot, they buffed the damage on his ult. Over here, they increased the damage on his Q as well. Everything they've done has pointed towards Aatrox being the more fun version of himself. All they had to do was lose the revive. Let's put that down here. I'm gonna put this down as a final thought before we end this video. Aatrox is more fun than ever. All he had to lose was his revive. That's something important. That is why Aatrox will never get his revive back. He will never get his revive back. He's just more fun and interesting without it because of the power budget, because he was allowed to be far more powerful without the revive. And that's this video. So you can go ahead and agree and disagree and say, well, they should have found a way to blah, blah, blah. Maybe if they increase the cooldown. I don't know. I don't agree with you. I think you're dumb if you want to survive back. That's my opinion. You're dumb if you want to survive back. I'm sorry if you find that offensive, but I find it offensive that you want to remove my fun and remove my healing, or you want to remove my damage because you want his revive. So anyway, that's my video. Thank you all for watching. Thank you all for being here. I appreciate it, everybody. Special shout out to my Patreon supporters. You guys are amazing. Special shout out again to my YouTube members. You guys are also amazing. Thank you for getting through this entire video. Remember to like, remember to subscribe, and I hope you all have a great rest of your day. Bye-bye, everybody.